look, the Kelce thing is done. It's over. I mean, someday his number will be retired. Some people are calling for a statue. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be some kind of Jason Kelce day. I got a call from a friend yesterday. She says, you got to advocate for a Kelce parade. I said, who's paying for that? The city? Our company? What, are you kidding me? All right, but anyway, it's all good stuff. But here's the problem. It's not good stuff to not have him. And I'm curious today at 215-592-9494 if you can put into words how concerned, or not that much concerned, you are about the absence of Jason Kelce for 2024 and as we look over the horizon for these next couple of Eagles seasons. It's been a long time. I mean, he's been around a long time, and other than that stretch in 2012 when he was out with the knee injury, the guy played all the time. He always played. And since 2017, he's always played great since 2017. So just sign me up out of the gate here, and we'll hear from you at 215-592-9494. Sign me up out of the gate as very concerned about no Kelce moving forward for a whole host of reasons. I mean, number one, obviously, he was still playing at an extremely high level. So this isn't like, most players that retire who are not at or near the peak of their game. He was first-team All-Pro again. So, that's a big problem.
That's the best in the world.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now,
he is the best at center in the whole world.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the first thing that hits me out of the gate. But then there's leadership. I mean, I know Jurgens will step in there, and he'll probably be okay. But then someone's got to step in for Jurgens. But, by the way, Jurgens probably won't be nearly as good as Kelce. I mean, the leadership stuff worries me. John, where do you stand? And, again, I want to hear from everyone. This is a 2024 and then sort of 25, 26, as you project the next couple of years, with the heaviest focus on this 1 year in particular. But next couple of years as well, no Kelce, it means what, John, in your opinion, for the Eagles?
It means that you have to be concerned because Kelce is one of the greatest to ever play. Yeah, and we won't have him available. And it's not just the play that's great, it's the brain that's great. It's the calls that are great. So these shoes, they're not even like shoes. We're talking about gigantic boats, yachts to fill with feet. Kelce's absence, though, will make it a focus to get Cam Jurgens up to speed. And I'm not worried about Cam Jurgens getting up to speed with the football part. Like with the football, with the X's and O's part. He's been recommended by Jason Kelce because he's identified these traits that are rare and unique that he has in Cam Jurgens. Yeah. And I love that part.
And a great coach with Stoutland to help guide him.
And that's huge.
That's significant.
That's massive.
And 2 years under his belt as a pro.
Yes.
So you're not flipping it over to a rookie
guard.
Yeah.
He understands the ins and outs, the way to manage your body during a season, all of that. He's ready for this move. But the offense, it's a new offense this year. Kellen Moore, new terminology. It's not going to be completely different, but there will be differences in the way that we protect against the blitz. So I love the fact, and this is like a hidden fact, this offense, because it's new, will be retaught, umpteen times this offseason. This offense, because it's new, because Kellen Moore was brought in, it's going to be taught in OTAs, and then it's going to be completely retaught as soon as training camp starts. You got a new crop of guys in. Yeah. You got to reteach it. And there will be guys who are sitting there the whole time, like Jalen Hurts, who are learning it again and again and again. Once you get through the preseason, the regular season starts, you know what happens? You get a little mini playbook that's like a mini season for that week.
Yeah, right. They
You've got 18 of these, 17 of these for, like new playbooks. It's being taught every week and then retaught. So it's going to be taught in OTAs. It's going to be taught in preseason. This is for Cam Jurgens' purposes, learning this new offense, learning the protections, learning Jalen Hurts, learning the calls. Let's declare the mic. Let's protect Jalen in a different way than what we did last year, in a better way than what we did last year. I have a lot of confidence that these players will be taught this. These players will be taught this from the ground up. And a lot of times what happens, what I believe could very easily have happened with Brian Johnson as your offensive coordinator, is you assume You assume guys they're good on certain things. They've got it. There will be no assumptions made that guys understand.
So are you saying that's
anything.
a worry or a good thing?
I think it's a great thing that this is being taught from the ground up. Everyone is being taught the same way.
But not good at not have Kelce.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
It's not good.
Because you would think his adaptability would be at a higher level after all these years than the second-year guy who's about to be a third-year guy.
I'm saying Cam can do this, and it's helpful. I'm looking for reasons that we can be close to what we came from.
Well, I think the biggest reason is
it will be taught again. Last year, the offense had issues because things weren't taught to everyone.
Right.
Like the pass protection wasn't taught to everyone the way we thought it should be.
Well,
that's not going to be an issue this year. That's going to be better.
Well, it should be better. I mean, it'd be almost impossible to be worse. I don't think it was Kelce's fault last year that it was a disaster at the end of the year. Look, we'll see where you stand at 215-592-9494 on your level of concern, real high, medium, low, whatever it might be, with no Kelce for, the next few years. I'll say this. There's another aspect to me, because I am very concerned, and I have some belief in Jurgens. Let me be clear. I don't think, it's as barren as when Doc was gone. And there was no safeties, and that was safeties for 5 years.
This is a completely different story.
This is different.
This is the focus of this organization, finding these players. They prioritize offensive linemen, defensive linemen. They always have a nice
here's my
group of these guys.
But here's my thing. I got two main points to hit here that I think are key. Number one, in the last 7 years, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the best unit the Eagles have had consistently is their offensive line. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. For all the talk nationally and locally about offensive line and defensive line, and for all the pub that Carson got for a moment in time and Foles got for a moment in time and Hurts got for a year, I mean, the big pub those three guys got for snippets of time. The dominant force, and it has been dominant on this football team, has been the offensive line. Behind Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson, in the early days, Jason Peters, and for about half of that time, Brandon Brooks, where they were a spectacular offensive line, and it was the number one reason they made the playoffs 6 or 7 years. I mean, 6 of 7 years making the playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl victory. I mean, that was the thing. And now, to me, from a true greatness standpoint, you're down to 1. You're down to Lane. And he's getting older, but you got Lane. Now, Mulata's got to step it up. We all expected 2-3 years ago, when we first saw him really play, that he was going to grow into a damn good player. And I would say he has, to this point, for whatever reason, fallen short of that. Now, Dickerson and Jurgens, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. They're all right. They're all right. But they were exceptional along the offensive line for a tremendous stretch of time, and I feel no longer will be. That worries me. The other thing I'll say, and you guys know I go into the history bag sometimes, but it hits me hardcore here when you see a Hall of Famer leave, particularly when you consider a Hall of Famer at the top of his game still. History is not on our side, ladies and gentlemen, when a Philadelphia athlete who's a Hall of Famer steps aside. It's just not. I mean, Doc being one example, a disastrous example.
I get it.
Reggie White. I mean, it was.
But we're talking. But
never
you
the same. It was never the same.
This what you just
Charles
started out
Barkley
saying.
and
I
Allen
would guess
Iverson.
the history
Hold
for
on.
most places when a Hall of Famer
Probably.
leaves. You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
Yes,
So my
it's
point
very
is,
difficult
I agree.
to replace that. But
I mean,
you
Barkley and
started-
Iverson were after
You just
Barkley and
started
Iverson,
out saying
disasters.
the offensive line is such a priority here. They do such a great job of making sure that's always restocked. That really does matter. That's where it starts and ends, and will continue to dominate up front. I'm excited.
They're going to try to. They're going to try. There's a difference between trying and doing. They were certifiable, guaranteed top 3.
Cam Jurgens is capable
Stoutland helps.
of
It helps. It does
I mean,
help.
Kelce made it very clear
no
yesterday
question.
that
It
dude
does.
saved his career and all that.
I hear you.
Cam Jurgens is capable of being an amazing, groundbreaking, defies what centers can normally be thought of doing type center, just like Jason Kelce. Just like, well, you can't say just like.
I know what you mean.
He's
Stylistically.
going to break molds. Yeah. He's going to do things other centers can't do. He's rare. That's awesome. The question is guard. You now got to avoid at guard. But do we? Doesn't it always surprise us when when a guy has to step up for the Eagles, the guy who comes in there, like, we're always like, man, I don't remember ever like seeing him mess up. I don't remember seeing him get humiliated out there. It feels like next guy up with this O-line do a wonderful job.
Like Jack Driscoll in that Jets game was a disaster. Like Sua Opeta was not great. It felt like that used to be the case, but the last couple years, the backup guys who come in have not felt as good.
I hear you. I'll say this. I also think the Hall of Famer makes the others around him look better. I think Mike Schmidt made the guy that batted in front of him look like a better hitter, and the guy that batted behind him look like a better hitter. I think Brian Dawkins made the cornerback to his left look better and to his right look better. I'm not saying Troy and Bobby and Sheldon and Lito weren't really good, but Doc made them look better. I am convinced Kelce made others look better. I'm telling you guys, like my level is high for concern without Kelce. Now, to John's point, the Eagles obviously are going to roll up their sleeves to a certain extent. They already have over the last couple of years to try to, prepare for this moment and deal with it. They'll do their best with it, but it's not easy.
It's unprecedented.
It's not easy,
man.
The
future Hall of Fame center has a chance to hand select the guy to replace.
It's not.
I've never heard of anything
Certainly
like
not
that.
Montana and Steve Young. Now, that one worked out good, but Joe Montana wasn't too happy about that one. All right, your phone calls on this whole matter. The next couple of years with the Eagles. Heavy focus on 2024, no Kelce, leadership, playing style, the whole deal. What do you make of it from an impact standpoint? Your phone calls 215-592-9494. Cool prize to give away today. We'll get to that and rock all your calls. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie. It's 94 WIP.